back to my class. You know that I am Halimanisa, junior lecturer of Alibath Junior College. So here in today's class we are discussing the 10th chapter, which is related to the civic subject, and chapter name is Contemporary Issues in Indian Politics. In this chapter, first we will go with the dynamic nature of Indian politics here. So in this, India attained the independence in 1947 and established a sovereign socialist, secular and democratic republic in 1950 with the consent of written constitution. Exactly. So here it has chosen the parliamentary system of government for India. So during these 7 decades of post-independence period, here many changes have occurred on both in the structures and in the functions of government at the national level and as well as at the state levels. So here the era of one party dominance prevailed till early 1980s. Here the new era is marked by the emergence of the regional political parties and coalition politics, and structurally here the government are formed both the national level and in many states with broad political alliance with common minimum program, that is CMP. So here as the basis among the political parties, whereas in functionally methods of constant coalition and concerns and consents have emerged to formulate the policies and make the decisions that brought may change in the government process. Exactly. So here the nature of the Indian Federation gave away for the involving cooperative federalism between the union government and state government. So the emergence of the regional political parties with vibrant mandate change, like the patterns of the political decision making from the autocratic nature till 1980s to more flexible and the consensual nature in the later period. So here after this, now we will see about the regionalism and regional leadership. So here in regionalism, the interest of the people of a particular region expressed or articulated before the political authority for fulfillment may be the term as regionalism. So here the concept of regionalism can be understood both in its positive and in its negative aspects here. So here positively regionalism is endorsed the socio-economic and the political interest of a region aiming for the regional development. Exactly. As per the negatively aspects, here growth of the regionalism is understood in a inimical to national integration, as the different regions maybe have the conflictive interesting or to certain regions may be sectionized in nature. Here in this regionalism and its form, here India is expressed in many forms, and important among them are the cessions from the Indian Union and the demands for the separate statehood and the demands for the regional autonomy within the state and interstate disputes and the aggressive regionalism for protection of regional interest. And here in the post independence period, here the extreme form of regionalism was expressed, in which the certain parties demanded to break away from that Indian Union, and here the Dravidya Montera Kazam in Tamil Nadu and the Akalai Dal in Punjab and the Mizos and Nagas in the northeast of the India has been demanding cession from India only. So after this, now we will see the emergence of a regional leadership here. Here a strong and a valuable leadership which challenged the leaders at the national level and emerged in the various regions of India from 1990s onwards. So here leaders have not only mobilized the native population for their social, economic, political and the cultural rights and interest, but have also articulated their issues at the national level. So here the regional leadership is also successful in a foreign national coalition against the domination of the Congress party and brought in a certain sessional request for the evaluation of a cooperative federalism in India. So here the regional leadership has achieved much more complex tasks of integrating the various regional issues into a composite political item and mobilize the million of people with their charismatic leadership. So here the upcoming and uncompromising and in charismatic leadership. So here the uncompromising determination of Telangana Rashtra Samiti leader, that is K. Chandrasekhar Rao, in achieving the decades long desire for the Telangana, and stands as the testimony for the enhanced capability of the regional leadership. Here the various factors contributed for this emergence, and this process has the political system and the regional level. So here some critics also view this phenomena as the inimical to the nationalism. So here the regionalism is precised as genuine to the extent of its urge for the regional development and the autonomy within the framework of Indian constitution. Exactly. So after this regionalism, now we will see about the coalition politics and governments. So here in this, the coalition politics means a system where the political parties join together with an aim to secure the power of government or to put up and combined position to the political process. Exactly. So here the political parties make agreements with a common minimum program, that is CMP, to carry out an agreed agenda. So in this, coalition politics are not new to India. Here the different political parties come together after the fourth general election in India, and they put up the combined candidates in the election to the various state legislative assemblies. So here at present there are two major political coalition existing in India. Among them, here the National Democratic Alliance, that is NDA, had the Bharatiya Janata Party and Akalai Dal Telugu Desam Party and the Shiv Sena, and others are the major parties of this coalition, and other alliance, namely as the United Progressive Alliance, that is UPA, has the Indian National Congress and the Nationalist Congress Party, and the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam are the major parties. So here in this coalition politics, among the political parties happen under the two arrangements. So they are the pre-poll coalitions and the post-poll coalitions are there. As the Congress party was dominating the political scenario during the first 4 decades of the post-independence period, here the major political parties started making the coalition to provide the reasonable fight in the elections. So the fall of one part dominance or decline of Congress party dominance led to hang the parliaments and the post-poll alliances here. So after that, now we will see the phases of coalition politics here. Here in this coalition politics in India can be traced from the late 1960s through the various phases. Here started in 1967 with the sign of decline of one party, that the Congress party dominance. This pattern assumed its complete vigor in the later decades. So here the history of the evolution of coalition politics can be understood under the different phases of their function. Here the first phase of coalition politics between the 1967 to 1971, and here it marked the emergence of the regional parties in various states to challenge the dominance of the Congress party. Here the Bharatiya Jana Sinha, Lok Dal and the Socialist Party and the Samyukta Vidhayak Dal and are emerged in some North India states and made the coalitions. Whereas in the second phase of coalition politics between the 1977 to 1980, so here the left front governments were formed in Kerala, Tripura and West Bengal with the various parties based on the left-list ideology here. So some considered the Janata experiment at the center is also the part of coalition politics. Now in the third phase of the coalition politics was between the 1989 to 1991. Here at the level of the national government and at the various state governments, their coalitions experienced a new pattern of relationship among the coalition partners. Get it? Here some of the political parties extend the outside support by not joining the government and actively involving in the coalition politics here. Whereas in the fourth phase of coalition politics between 1996 to 1999, here it is marked the instability of the political and the frequently fall of governments here. So, during this phase here the political parties frequently distant from the coalitions, and this resulted in the fall of central governments and many state governments also. Whereas in the fifth phase of coalition government between the 2004 to 2014, here they formed a national basis under the Common Minimum Program, that is CMP. Here among the coalition partners, both NDA coalition and UPA coalition have evolved an agreeable agenda known as Common Minimum Program, CMP. Get it? And here the reasons for the coalition politics are, there are the many factors that contribute for the formation of the coalition governments, and they are the decline of one party dominance and the emergence of the regional political parties to satisfy the regional aspirations of the people, and the spread of the social and the political movements as a result of assertion of rights by the various groups, and also the political compulsions from a national level and state level alternative to Congress here, and also the cleavages in the national parties due to the ideological differences. After this, now we will see about the terrorism. Here see this pic in which the terrorists attacked the Taj Hotel in Mumbai. So, after seeing this pic, now we will discuss the characteristics of the terrorism here. Here many studies on terrorism pointed out the certain similarities or patterns in the act of terrorism, and they are like the terrorism is an organized, planned and the deliberate act of the violence carried out by handful of people here. And here the terrorism is a motivated violence to challenge the social and the political order of the society. And also here the terrorism engaged itself in an unofficial war with the government and the political systems, and also terrorism is always unlawful, inhuman and anti-democratic, etc. are they. After this, now types of terrorism here. The second administrative reform commission in India, in its report in 2008, classified the terrorism into the 5 types based on the different goals and objectives of terrorist groups here, and they are ethno-nationalist terrorism and the religious terrorism and the ideology oriented terrorism and the state sponsored terrorism and the narco terrorism. On the basis of these method used by the terrorists, the other types also emerged, such as environmental terrorism, and that is bioterrorism, and here the cyber terrorism and the suicide terrorism and so on are there. Now we will see about the terrorism and insurgency. Here there is a very little thin layer of difference between the terrorism and the insurgency. Here, while the insurgency is confined with the national boundary and the directed against to one's own government, whereas the terrorism can transcend the national boundary and may be directed against one's own country as well as other countries also. So, here causes for terrorism. Here there have been so many causes for the eruption of terrorism, exactly like communalism and the religious and the intolerance and the cultural inventions and the socio-economic backwardness of the certain communities, etc. are there, can be cited as the causes of terrorism here. So, here the people urge for self-rule and the right to self-domination and right to development and the opposition of the economic exploitation and the social oppression and the demands for separate statehood, etc. are there. Demands for separate statehood, etc. may be also cited as the causes for the terrorism here. Here the certain causes for the generation of the terrorism may be appear to be fair and just the meaning to achieve them thorough terrorism is considered. Now we will see about the corruption here. Here, corruption in India is a major issue that is constantly debated in the public forums and the media, as it's adversely affect the Indian economy. Exactly. So here, the India has the dubious distinctions of the unearning so many corruption scandals such as 2G Spectrum scam and Commonwealth Games scam and Adarsh Housing Society scam and coal mining scam from 2010 onwards. Here the many ministers of both union and the state cabinet are facing the charges of corruption here. So these issues of the political corruption, Indian bureaucracy is also actively involved in this corruption. So there are the allegations of corruptions against some officials belonging to police, sale tax and excise weight and measures department and the irrigation department and income tax department, social welfare and the rural development departments also. So here the India bureaucracy is well known for at least efficiency and the compared to Southeast Asia nations and the acting as the stumbling block for the spend movement of files and arriving at the decisions. Here the factors contribute for corruption and they are like the some people with the official powers have a nature to misuse the powers for the greedy self-interest and involve in corruption practices. Exactly. And here the moral and the spiritual values are not given due to the importance in a everyday life and the value in the society leads to corruption. Exactly. And here the punishment imposed on the people who indulge in the corruption and inadequate etc. are the factors contribute for the corruption. Here by the factors of the corruption, some of the impact are also there in corruption. Here the corruption in India has so many negative effects on the economy, standards of living and the governance. Exactly. So the effects can be like as the corruption is an important factors for the widespread poverty in India and a large allocation of the budget meant for the welfare program of the poor is spun off or eaten away by the authorities as a corruption. Exactly. And here the corruption allows the authorities to bend the law or the government rules in favor of corporate houses, and here it disputes the ethical nature of the government with the immoral and the unethical practices of corruption etc. are there in the impact of corruption. So here after the corruption, now we will see about the development and displacement here. Here one of the main issue of debate in the contemporary politics is development induced the displacement. Exactly. So here the modern age is considered as in the age of development. So here the world in general and the Indian in particular achieved the development through the higher economic growth rates. So here the success story of development in India is marked by the green revolution in agriculture and the industrial development and the infrastructure development and the advancement in science and technology here. So here on the other lines of the development, communities and the individual are facing the problem of displacements. Exactly. So this is often referred to as a development induced the displacement and restlessment, that is DIDR, which forces in the communities and the individuals out of homes and homelands, areas of habitation and the residence to facilitate the economic development. So here the people vacate their homes and the homelands and they surrender their land for the larger economic activities such as the construction of dams and the hydroelectric power projects, mining and oil exploration and the creation of the special economic zone and new industrial units and the road winding and the creation of flyovers etc. are there. So here the government resorts of a land acquisition which forces the people to surrender their land for the purpose of social and the economic development here. So all this is about the development. Now we will see about the displacement here. Here the phenomenon of displacement is defined by the various authors in different meanings. Exactly. Whereas according to the Michael, here the displacement is a process by which the people being forcefully outed from one's land and habited by a dam and the reservoir or a highway is not only the destructive expensive and painful here, but also is associated with the serious long-term risk of being poorer than before they are disintegrated the socially. Whereas according to the Shilpi, here the development induced displacement can be defined as the forcing of communities and individuals, often also from their homelands, for the purpose of economic development, natural resources extraction, and the urban renewal, or the development programming and the infrastructure projects such as the highways, bridges, irrigation, canals, and dams all require the land. So, here often in a large quantity. So, here the indigenous people and their tribals are affected. Here the study on the social impact of the development suggests that the indigenous people, including the tribals, are disproportionately affected. Exactly. So, here as the land for the development are mostly chosen from the hill tracts and the forest areas, mainly the tribal communities are affected and they are displaced. So, here the process of the displacement leads to poverty and destination and descriptions of the social culture settings of the tribal peoples. Exactly. Here the most of the tribal lands do not have the clear land titles. So, here the provision for the compensation also disallow. So, the tribal communication from the making rightful claims. So, this form of land alienation results in the human disasters as their communities meet with a severe health problems in a new socio-economic conditions. So, see this displacement scenarios table. So, by this observing this scenario table, we have completed our 10th chapter, that is the contemporary issues in Indian politics. Thank you.